два человека, которых мы оставляем военным.
Breaking his silence, the head of the Wagner mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, releasing an 11-minute message on Monday, audio only. In it, he's defending his abandoned mutiny while insisting that Saturday's stunning series of events was not aimed at toppling Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Несмотря на то,
We went to demonstrate our protest and not to overthrow the government, he said in a statement posted to Telegram, adding his forces moved toward Moscow to hold Russian commanders to account for what he calls mistakes in the Ukraine war. But his fighters halted their approach to avert bloodshed. Prigozhin, a former very close ally of Putin, was last seen on Saturday night, where he was cheered on by bystanders after he agreed to leave Russia for exile in Belarus, ending his brief insurrection. But his current location is not known, and details are murky about his mysterious agreement with the Kremlin that brought his uprising to a sudden stop. Russian media reporting that a criminal case against him has not been closed.
Уважаемые друзья,
Moscow sharing this video of Putin Monday, but it's not clear when it was recorded, and he made no mention of the weekend chaos. On Saturday, Putin condemned the Wagner rebellion as a stab in the back. Ukraine and its Western allies said the turmoil revealed cracks in Putin's Russia. Moscow says it is working to determine if the West played a role in the Wagner leaders' failed revolt.
Let me say a few words about the events in Russia.
Making his first public comments since the Russian-Wagner standoff, U.S. President Joe Biden saying Monday that Washington and its allies were not involved.
We had nothing to do with it. This was part of a struggle within the Russian system. We're going to keep assessing the fallout of this weekend's events and the implications for Russia and Ukraine. But it's still too early to reach a definitive conclusion about where this is going.
What should we call what transpired over the weekend? Is it a mutiny, coup, or attempted coup, an armed rebellion?
We're not slapping a bumper sticker on it.
And to paraphrase what the White House National Security spokesperson is saying Monday, it is just too soon to characterize what went down in Russia over the weekend and what's going to happen next. And he adds the U.S. does not know the current whereabouts of Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin. And new from Russian President Vladimir Putin, he delivered a national address late Monday. His anger evident, and he's saying those behind the weekend rebellion will be held to justice. In Putin's first public comments on the brief revolt, Putin blamed Russia's enemies for the stunning unrest and saying they miscalculated. The Kremlin sharing new footage of the Russian leader meeting with his security service and other members of his inner circle, including his defense minister, in an apparent show of unity among Moscow's top ranks. Thanking Wagner mercenary fighters and commanders who'd stood down to avoid bloodshed. Putin also saying he will honor his promise to allow the Wagner members to relocate to Belarus if they want to, or to sign a contract with the defense ministry. He made no mention, though, of Prigozhin, who led the mutiny, and agreed to leave Russia for Belarus after calling off his troops. Putin is warning that any attempt to create internal turmoil is doomed to failure. Saturday's uprising marked the biggest challenge of Putin's decades in power, and it comes some 16 months after Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky pushing ahead with his counteroffensive, saying the mutiny reveals weakness and chaos within Russia.
We are watching, of course, and we are reflecting carefully on what the implications could be either in Ukraine or elsewhere.
Echoing messages shared by other Western leaders, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who is in Iceland meeting with Nordic leaders, saying Monday that the upheaval in Russia is an internal issue for Moscow. Trudeau is set to attend the NATO Leader Summit in Lithuania, where Russia will be, no surprise, high on the agenda. The head of the alliance weighing in.
The events over the weekend are an internal Russian matter, and yet another demonstration of the big strategic mistake that President Putin made with his legal annexation of Crimea and the war against Ukraine.
The NATO gathering kicks off about 2 weeks from now. Melissa Duggan, City News.